How are we doing? I think I might freeze in a minute, but we'll see. Right, welcome to lesson number 9, everybody. Welcome, and we're going to carry on with the tree theme today. What I've been doing is last night I was working on a different tree, having done the little forest before. So you would have seen me last week doing the pen drawing and everything. And that was inspired by this picture of the tree just here. And I particularly liked all the texture on the tree and the lovely sort of twisty branches on there. So I've drawn most of that out now. And the inspiration behind that was looking at this drawing to begin with. But since then I've added a few different ideas to the drawing as well. I've added some colour as well. And I've been looking at how you can add texture to the picture too. So I'm going to show you that in a few seconds. Now the next one I'm doing, which I also started last night, was I'm looking at something a little bit different to the standard sort of watercolour. In fact, this probably isn't just watercolour, if it is watercolour at all. But you've got lots of texture on there. And you can see that if I zoom right in, you can see that there's all these kind of little wrinkles and creases and things on there. So that gave me the thought of perhaps putting some texture down on the surface to work back over, which is something that I really like doing, and you'll know that from previous classes that you might have attended. So I'm going to show you that now. You're going to move down to me being small. There we go. So this one was the one that I did last week, or the week before as well. And on here, that's all right. And on here, what I did was I've used loads of different techniques and lots of layering of techniques on top of each other. So once I'd done the wet on wet background, what I then did is and masked out the trees. As you remember, I masked out the trees with the masking fluid. I built up successive layers of stippling, a little bit of splattering as well. And then I added some blue. After I'd removed the masking fluid, I added some blue shadows and then used the paint over the top in black. After I put in some biro branches, I used the paint on top of that as well. And that's good. Right, and then after that, when I'd done all the stippling and I built up quite a lot of layers, I used the biro on top. So, and a bit of colour pencil as well. But the idea there was using lots of layers to build up the texture and add a little bit more depth into the painting. So I've been doing a little bit of that with this tree. So you would have seen me drawing this out last week. So here it is. Here's the photo that I've been using. You can see that there. But what I did is I divided, first of all, the photo into 2-inch squares. And then I drew that onto the sheet of paper as well that I'm using. So I'm still using the watercolour paper on here. But then I've used the biro pen to do lots of detail. So I've used the grid to get the accuracy, get everything in the right place. And then I've built up all of the textures and the detail with my biro pen. So you can just about see, you can just about see now I've worked over it, all the little cross hatching and all the different marks that I've used on here. So as you're probably aware, biro is like a good medium because it's waterproof and you can work back over it. I could also later on use some other pens to darken areas down if I wanted to, but I have to make sure that, of course, that they're waterproof. Otherwise, when you apply more colour or watercolour on top, then you're going to get some bleeding and things of the pen, and it could change the colours a little bit. All right, so if I just move down a little bit here, we can see there's quite a little bit of texture around here. So I'm going to just talk for a second about how to create this kind of texture. We've done a little bit. It's kind of a reverse of what we've done before, because if you remember before, we used tissue paper and then put watercolour down and put the tissue paper on top, or indeed some people used like plastic or a plastic bag or a cellophane, and then you leave it to dry and you peel it off and you've got all the wrinkles and stuff. This is actually putting down tissue paper in this case. You could try something else. Someone else said, oh, are you using like normal tissue, or are you using tissue that you would find in wrap? So I'm using this kind of stuff here that you would wrap things in and that sort of thing. But you can try out different things to get textures. And what I've done is I've put glue down, PVA, on the surface, and then pushed or scrunched up all the tissue paper, put it on top, and then apply glue. Now the surface of this isn't particularly relief at all, it's just bumpy on the surface. So try not to, if you're going to try this out, try not to make it too raised off the surface or relief, because you'll find that if you want to work back over it with a pen, which I might want to do at some point, then it gets a bit kind of, it rips and stuff and you get the white coming back through. Over here, last night I also said, oh, you could try all sorts of things out. So here I've torn up a little bit of newsprint to create a texture just there as well, and I had some of this lying around from a previous class as well. So a lot of you might not be at this stage yet, so we can do a little bit more on this next week as well. I'm going to be adding more on top. So once that was dry, what I was then able to do was add the watercolour. And where the folds and creases are in the watercolour, you get kind of the paint tends to gather a little bit, so you get all the wrinkles. And the same happens with this area, which is where I've added the wallpaper as well. So you get like because the wallpaper is, the textured wallpaper anyway, is thinner where there isn't a relief or bumpy surface, and thicker where it is. So when you apply the colour tends to go in between all the bumpy bits, and that's how you get the kind of painty sort of textury effect on there. So last night I spent a bit of time finishing off the collage, sorry, not the collage, the biro stuff. So I've got all the branches drawn out, put a bit of texture on, and then what I did after that was I did wet on wet over the top. And if we look at the photo again quickly, I chose my colours according to where a lot of the leaves were. So I thought, well, okay, there's quite a few leaves up here, so I'm going to make the top corner of my painting more green here and more blue down here. Okay, and then I can obviously work over the top of that with all the stippling and various things that we've been trying out during this art course. When this was wet, the other thing I did was I put some salt granules on there, so I got a little bit more texture back into the picture. You can see where the salt has been over here, and I've still got one or two little bits of salt on there now, but that's also added to the effect that we've got here. And as far as the tree trunk goes, I've worked over it with the watercolour, but I've built up a few different layers of colour. So I put down like a yellowy kind of greeny colour, and then I've added browns over the top. Some areas of the tree where there's highlights coming in from the side, I've left almost blank, so that you get the effect of the light coming across and hitting that side of the tree, and then darker, of course, over here. So these are some of the things that we can try out. I will do a quick example of, on the back of this one, of how to do the tissue paper. Now there's my tissue. Actually, I did have a bit of blue stuff earlier. I'll get a bit of blue so you can see it better. Here's my blue. So I have some PVA over here. So PVA is really good because it dries kind of hard. When you apply water back over PVA, it does go back a little bit to being the way it was when you painted it on, but generally it dries again. So I'll put a little bit of PVA over the top there. And so if you put down one kind of texture, there's nothing to stop you putting some more on top. I was thinking about maybe a little bit of using some maps and things like that over the top as well. So there's my tissue paper, and as you put it down, you can push it into kind of folds and shapes like this. So that, and then when that's on, I recommend that you paint back over it with your PVA, and that will just make it stick properly, because I've seen quite a few times where people don't put enough glue on and it ends up coming off or disintegrating almost when you add the paint a bit later on. So that's that one. And then yep.
Will that PVA now become a masking fluid in effect? Do you be able to paint on top of that?
What, on top of masking fluid?
On top of your PVA.
What if I put masking fluid down, you mean? Or I can paint over PVA, no problem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've done it many times, so, and it's really, it's great stuff really. And then we've got the textured paper, and what I did on the painting is I ripped it up into smaller bits and then just sort of collaged that on. So you could do that too. So I'm creating like a bit of a textured area, and I really like the newsprint effect as well. So you can tear that like this. And what I did with the newsprint on this painting is I kind of I sent it in the direction of the path going up alongside the tree there, to give it a sense of direction. So the type on the newsprint goes in a direction, doesn't it? So I've used the direction of the print to sort of almost lead the eye into the background a little bit. You can see over here how later on I've already started to do a bit of stippling to show the texture of the trees towards the back. Okay, so there's some of the things that I thought would be really cool to experiment with. I'll quickly show you the other painting that I started last night as well. So I'm looking at this picture just here. I've got a copy of it on the other screen, I think. There it is. Yeah. So I'll just zoom back out again. So yeah, I'm looking at this picture, and and this is how I've started it. So I didn't grid it up in the same way as I did before. I literally just folded it so I could do a quarter at a time, and I sketched this one out quite quickly. So there it is there. And then I've used wet on wet to apply just the starting point for some colours and to break the ice with the paper a little bit. So you'll see on the picture there's lots of these deep reds and lots of texture and things on there. So on the tree trunk you can see there's quite a bit of texture, so I'm thinking maybe I'll use a bit of the tissue and things over the top and then carry on working back over with the watercolour on top of that. And then when all the watercolour's done, so you've got lots of browns and things on here, I'm going to sort of break the rules a little bit, and I'm going to get out a bit of acrylic white and start putting in these highlights over the top of my watercolour painting a bit later on. So we're kind of moving into the area of mixed media and watercolour with that one. So that'll be what I'll be working on today alongside my other tree picture. So if you're looking for a few pictures, inspirational pictures that you'd like to use, then the thing to do is either use the old Pinterest, which I've talked about before, or if you visit my website, I have posted about 7 or 8 paintings and pictures on there for you to work from, and the tree photographs are also still there from last week that I put on the website too. Okay, so if everybody's okay with all of that, there's our starting point for today. How is everyone with that?
Good.
Yeah? Good. Well,
Jamie,
yes.
hi. The new picture you're doing now.
This one? Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look at the picture, it's got lots of oranges and.
That's right. Yeah.
And
I'll just bring it up.
Where is it?
Yeah, just there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where it's at the bottom, oranges, yellows, and like mustardy colour.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be a good idea to put tissue papers, those coloured tissue papers there?
Coloured tissue papers. Well, yeah. I haven't got many coloured tissue papers. I'm going to go for white, and then because the white, you see, when you put it down, it tends to have a certain amount of transparency with it. Especially if you put glue over it, so you'll get some of the colours I've already applied coming through a little bit, and then certainly when I add more colour on top, that'll make it even more transparent, and you'll get all these kind of wrinkles and things that you can see on the picture around here. So it's a case of building up those layers. But yeah, I will be trying out a little bit of tissue paper, probably not coloured, but if you wanted to try coloured tissue paper, there's no reason why you couldn't if you've got a good range of colours and things. But that colour will influence how the watercolour will work, won't it? Because obviously watercolour being very transparent will come through. The colour of the tissue paper will come through, won't it? Yeah. So I'm probably going to stick with white textured stuff, so newspapers and the white tissue, and maybe a bit of the textured wallpaper as well. But you know, it might be a case of today, if you haven't got any of those things or you haven't had time. Obviously, I haven't really said that we were going to do that specifically today because I thought we'd all be drawing and things.
I haven't got any tissue papers at all, but I know it will be a long distance job, you know, won't be doing it in recent time, you know.
Yeah.
But just had a thought, if we could use the coloured paper and then those colours will come through.
Yeah.
Whatever we use on top.
Yeah.
I was thinking.
Yeah. So that those colours that you use in tissue paper will come through. Is that what you mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I'd try. You know, there's no point in saying, oh, don't do it, because it might work really well. You've got to try it out for yourself in a sense, haven't you? Yeah. What I do know is that if you put bleach onto the tissue papers, they do bleach out really well too. So if the colours are a bit strong, you can change the subtlety of them by adding a bit of bleach.
Even on top of PVA glue? Bleach will work?
It might do, depending on how much PVA you've used. If you used like tons of it, then it might not work so well. But I'll tell you what, because I've done that little experiment a few minutes ago, what I'll do is I'll get a bit of bleach and I'll try it in a little bit, and then we'll see. Still a bit tacky at the moment, but it probably will work because PVA itself is you know, it works well with water, doesn't it? You can water it down and things.
Then it works like a sealant as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're working on wood, they say you use PVA glue to seal the wood.
Yeah, that's
paint up so the paints don't bleed into the wood.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing a painting at the moment on board. I'll show you actually. I've got it just here. It'll take me quite a while to do it. Oh, I'll just get it. So, because I do a lot of collage anyway, as you know. But this picture, this is on hardboard here. Look, so that's on board, and what I do is I make my own. I use a grey because it's neutral. It's neither light nor dark. But I mix this with PVA. So I mix a white emulsion paint, a little bit of black acrylic to make it sort of grey, and then I add loads of PVA with it, and I paint it, and that seals the board and allows me to work back over. Yeah.
But that's the collage, isn't it? Like
yeah, that's all collage.
your
Yeah,
style.
yeah, yeah.
That looks great.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Ooh. Yeah, it's Castle Ashby. Castle Ashby. Is it
Ah,
Orangery? I don't know how you say it. Orangery. Orangery.
yeah.
Yeah, I've got a few memories from visiting there over many years, so I thought, oh, it would be nice to do a picture of that. So, yeah. All right. So, has anyone else got any more questions, please? Magic. If you have got any questions, or if you want to show me your drawing or your work, please give us a shout, because I really like having a look.
I haven't done anything this week.
Okay. Yeah, I'm surprised I've done anything. I've been so busy. I'm doing an online parents' evening next week.
Jamie, we're not seeing you again.
Can you see me now?
Yes, because you've spoken.
Yeah.
But if somebody else speaks, their picture takes over.
Yeah.
And we lose you.
Yeah. Have you tried pinning me?
Jamie, is that
hello.
market happening even with the lockdown?
As far as I know, it's still happening. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Have you heard? Has there been any? Have you heard anything or?
No, not yet. Nothing.
No. No, I've not heard that it's going to be cancelled or anything like that. So fingers crossed. As I think it'll be quite a busy weekend if people are allowed out and the shops are open. So
yeah.
Yeah, it should be nice.
It'll be outdoors, won't it?
Yeah. So hopefully the weather will be alright as well.
It's crossed that weather will be good for you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm a bit of rage the other day with my shading. I went over white acrylic paint.
Right.
And sort of gave up on it, but I've come back to it this morning. It's going really, really well. So I don't know what to do with the rest of it. Would you cover up the white acrylic with pencil rather than watercolour?
Can I see?
Sorry?
Can I see it? Is that all right?
Can you see it? Oh,
yeah.
Let me just work out how to reverse my camera.
Or you can hold it up.
Oh, no.
See your car now.
Can you see?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So is it just a small area of the picture you've gone over, is it?
It is.
Oh, yeah. Right. Move it across a little bit the other way. The other way. The other way. It looks really good, yeah. It looks great. I was talking last night about with the biro, when you've if you put all the textures in and everything, you know, you've done all the lines and the detail, the thing to do then is look at the photo and see where there's like more subtle shadows. So like on this here, this tree, you can see the little the hole in the tree trunk. Yeah. Some areas like branches are a bit darker, so if you go up straight up to the right hand side where there's that branch sticking out almost to a right angle there, yeah, that branch is a little bit darker. So if you put all the texture in, you can give it a bit more depth by perhaps hatching in quite a uniform way over the whole of that branch. So I'm talking about, let me just move my picture across. So you see this branch here. Yeah, can you see how it's just slightly darker than the rest of it? It's because I've just done a little hatch over the top just to send that area back slightly against this part of the tree. So you can add some quite nice subtle shadows by just lightly hatching with your biro back over some areas of the picture, and it really gives it that kind of 3D. It takes it a bit further than, you know, you've got your texture, but then you've got your shape and your form in there as well. Yeah.
I think that's what I'm getting caught up with, the shading and the texture.
Yeah, because someone else was the same yesterday. They did a really beautiful, like yours, like really lovely texture and everything. And then I said, right, well, now what you need to do is just look for the shadows. And literally you hatch over the top of the textured areas which are in shadow. But do it gradually. If you're not sure, just do a little bit at a time and then look at it. Even hold it back from a distance and then say, right, a little bit more here. And you keep hatching it until you get to where you want, and then you stop when you think, okay, it looks 3D now. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I'm struggling because I'm trying to put the detail in, trying to put the shadow in as well.
Yeah.
And it's just all getting a bit messy.
Yeah. So put all your texture in, and then look at it and decide which areas have got shadow in, and then start lightly putting that in, and then hold it away from yourself and say, right, oh yeah, I can see it now. It's coming. I'll just do a little bit more.
But I'm really finding it helpful having the grid.
Yeah.
Fill down.
Yeah.
To do parts of 3 on it. So
yeah.
I'm glad I didn't rub the grid out.
Yeah. Yeah. Once I'd finished drawing, I did rub out the grid on here. So that was a grid on here originally, but once I'd done all the pen work, I thought, okay, I'm ready now because I know where everything is. I can just rub it all out, and then I started the paint work after that. But make sure you rub out the grid before you do the painting, because sometimes it doesn't come off.
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Thank you, Jamie.
Okay, thank you.
Jamie. It's
Yeah.
Jill Barker.
Hello.
I've put some of the newsprint on mine. Do you put the PVA over the top of that as well as like you do the tissue?
Sorry, you put newsprint on, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can put it. I would. Yeah, put a bit over the top as well.
Okay. That's great. Thanks.
Okay.
Jamie.
Yeah.
It's Fran.
Hi, Fran.
My tree. I'll show you what I've done so far.
Yeah. Hold on.
Should I just use biro to darken it, or could I use permanent pen, black pen?
Yeah, you could use a permanent pen. Yeah, pens are a bit harsher than the biro.
Right.
Obviously, you can go quite soft with a biro.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, you can use a permanent pen, especially if you think, oh, this area is really dark, so I want to make sure, because if you
That's what I'm concerned about. I've got some really dark areas.
Yeah.
I don't know if I need to go darker there.
It takes longer to build up really dark areas with a biro. You have to keep going over it until you got rid of all the white bits. But with a pen, you can obviously fill it in really, really quickly, can't you? So yeah, try a permanent pen, as long as you're sure that you'll be able to add your colour over the top without it blurring later.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Jamie.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Is that did you stick a white tissue paper there where you're painting now?
Yeah. Yeah. So the whole surface. I'll zoom in a bit. There you go. So yeah, you can just see the tissue on there, and then where I'm painting, look, over the top of the tissue, you're getting all the wrinkles and folds where I've stuck it down. So you're getting a bit of texture coming through. I'm doing wet on wet mostly at the moment.
On the trunk, is there some paper stuck on there as well?
Yeah. What I did on that one is I remembered that I had some map from Snowdonia, which has got all these nice contours and things on it. So I've torn bits of that up and put it on the tree trunk. So where the edges of where the tears are, just along here and around here, the paint gathers a little bit more because it soaks into the fibres of the paper. So you get these nice wrinkles and things appearing, or dark lines appearing on the side. So at the moment, what I'm doing is I'm just putting on a layer of colour over the areas, on the picture, and then later I'll come back and I'll build back on top of it again when it's dry, and gradually build up some different layers of colour. So I'll be working pretty loosely up here as well. I'll try to stick with some of the branches, I think, rather than go into the background, so that I can see it a bit more clearly as I'm working. But
So just a quick question. I can see you stick some newspaper at the top
just here. Yeah. That was a bit kind of random. I thought, I'll just stick a bit of newspaper down.
I was trying to compare with the picture. I mean,
I couldn't
see.
Yeah. The picture doesn't have anything, as far as I'm aware. It's mostly painted, I think, but if you look at, there's like these wrinkles and creases on there, aren't there, as well? So I suspect that there is things stuck down on the surface here, because it's not, it looks a bit chaotic in places, but when you look at this really white area here, just zoom in a bit on that, see that bit there? I think that the branches have been painted around using that negative effect that we've talked about previously. That some of these around here, look, have been painted around or back over again afterwards, but I'll be using a bit of acrylic for those, I think. So watered down acrylic and then solid acrylic in some areas, because I know that it will sit really well over the top of the background that I'm creating at the moment. And the other thing you could do as well, I just thought of, is you see this nice orange area down here. You wanted that to be a bit brighter, you could put a little bit of white acrylic paint down first and then wash back over it with watercolour. So you get a really vivid kind of bright colour coming back through on that. There's all sorts of things that can happen and things that you can do as you're working away, but certainly as a bit of inspiration, this tree is brilliant because it just it challenges you to do different things with your painting that perhaps you wouldn't do normally.
I'm just on the first one at the moment. Just looked at the picture and see what you were doing. I'll just keep that in mind and see.
The other one I've
each one.
I've literally just been stippling over the top with loads of very small watercolor dots.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Jamie.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah.
I'm doing this olive tree.
Okay, hang on. Let me have a look.
If I turn it round, the bottom bit is just tissue at the moment, and it's still wet, so I'm not going to do anything with that for the time being.
Yeah. Oh wow, yeah.
So far.
I like the twistiness of it. That's really nice.
So do I.
Yeah.
Now, if I show you the picture.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, come back slightly. That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you see that all the top? I'm getting to the point where I want to try to think about the leaves.
Yeah.
There seems to be an awful lot more branches in there.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering whether I ought to do the branches before I do the leaves, or just stipple some leaves and then do the little branches all over the top afterwards.
I would probably do the branches first. Yeah, because you can put the watercolour can then sort of go over the branches a little bit, can't it, in places? And then, of course, if some areas are darker, you can go back into them again, can't you? Or you can put them back in again.
Because it's a network of lots and lots of very thin branches.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when I did this one, I drew all of the branches, every branch, in detail first, and then I've been going back over with the stippling and that on top.
Okay, I'll get the biro out then.
Yeah, but I would put that in first. I mean, if you don't want to do it in biro, just do it. Use a nice small round brush to put it in if you feel like that's going to be easier or quicker for you. Certainly.
Well, I think I'll use the biro. I can control that a bit better.
Okay, yeah. And then look for those. I was just looking at your photo there, and against your painting. Let's have a look at your painting again as well. Yeah, so you could make some of your shadows a bit, perhaps even harsher, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
From what I can see on the screen, yeah, you could go, or even like some of the actual tree trunk where it's lighter, you could make those areas a bit lighter, so that it's a bit more kind of harsh against, because the shadows are quite pronounced, aren't they, in your tree there on the photo? Yeah. So keep, perhaps hatch a little bit more back into the tree, or add some lighter areas on there too.
Thought I would have to go back in after I put the colour on.
Yeah, certainly that's a nice thing to do, because it really does work quite well on watercolour. Biro does. So
okay, I'll get the biro out again.
All right.
Jamie, I'm at the same. It's Jude here.
Yeah, hi.
Exactly the same stage as Jan.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, because that's the one I'm working on there.
Right. Hold on. Let me just make you bigger. Yep. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, lovely tree.
Do you think this would work?
Sponging?
Yes.
Yeah.
Using
Yeah, I would do a mixture. Because, sponging works really well, but sometimes it's nice if you vary the marks a little bit, because it looks a bit more kind of, authentic, if you like.